Hi all, thank you so much for the great support that you've provided for our previous videos. We are here with a few tips for the listening module. In today's video, we shall talk about the multiple choice questions which a lot of students find difficult to answer. I have Alfonso here again today with me. So we'll be discussing few topics, tips and tricks related to multiple choice questions. Over to Alfonso.
We have multiple choice questions. We have three types. First of all, in part 2, you have short questions and short answers, meaning words in 1 or 2 words. In case of part 3, where you have long questions and long answers.
So
and also,
is it only for multiple choice questions, or in general, part 2 would be a bit easier compared to part 3?
Yes, part 2 would be a bit easier because even the audio is played a bit slower in comparison with part 3. Now we have one more type of multiple choice question, that is you will be given 5 options, out of which you will have to choose 2. In today's video, we will just be discussing that part 3 type of multiple choice because that's the most tricky one for most of the Ielts aspirants. So the first step is how to read the questions, that is the order in which you have to read. There are 2 ways. One is the general one. Most candidates would be doing the same, reading from top to bottom. For example, if you have 5 questions, that is 21, 22, 23, 24 and 25, the same order which is given. The second one is reading from bottom to top. There are many advantages for that, and I think that Abhishek also follows the same method. So let's ask him why he is following bottom to top method.
Right. So when I practiced, I found it more convenient to start from the bottom because by the time I complete reading my question twice, I listen the audio for the first question all of a sudden. Whereas if I read from top to bottom, the fifth question,
You will be at the 5th question by the time they will be playing the audio for the
first one.
question.
Yes. So
that's
that is
the
a
main reason.
bit confusing
Yes.
for me.
So this is the main reason we are suggesting you to practice bottom to top order. Now, not everyone will be able to follow this. As an IELTS candidate or an aspirant, you yourself have to find out which one will work for you. Okay, so this is the first tip.
Yes, but the tip is try to follow the bottom to top method.
Some people will get very conscious when they do it for the first time. But when you practice for a couple of times, you will be familiar with it and you'll understand the advantage of doing that. Second tip is identifying the keywords of the question as well as the answer. Now we will be doing a sample question. The question will be displayed on screen along with the audio. Abhishek also will be doing the same question at the same time, and you also try to do it. Once you have done it, we will be discussing why he chose a particular answer and what keywords that he analyzed, and we will follow the next subset of questions.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is to talk to your partner about your presentations on urban planning. You should have done most of the reading now, so I'd like you to share your ideas and talk about the structure of your presentation and what you need to do next.
Okay, Rob, I'm glad we chose quite a specific topic, cities built next to the sea. It made it much easier to find relevant information.
Yeah, and cities are growing so quickly. I mean, we know that more than half the world's population lives in cities now.
Yeah, though that's all cities, not just ones on the coast. But most of the biggest cities are actually built by the sea. I'd not realised that before.
Nor me. And what's more, a lot of them are built at places where rivers come out into the sea, but apparently this can be a problem.
What was your answer?
I'm a bit confused here. I have heard some words from option A and B, but I think they've mentioned something about world's population, so I will go with option A.
Alright, but the correct answer is option B. First of all, let's try to understand the keywords of the question. What do you think are the keywords?
Coastal cities, surprised, learn.
Alright, first of all, it's a conversation, right?
Yes.
Carla and Rob. Now here both of their names are mentioned and they have asked Carla and Rob were surprised. In the conversation, sometimes they will be asking about points that Carla was surprised, sometimes something that Rob was surprised. Here, the question is both of them were surprised about a particular fact. That's the question.
Right. So I should be more focused on the question, the keywords in the question.
Yes.
And during the time that they provide me to read the answer, read the question, I should be very much aware about the question and the keywords,
Yes.
so that I can listen to the answer properly.
So
Right.
here,
So I made a
Carla-
mistake because I focused more on the answer, not on the question.
Question, yes.
All right.
First keyword is Carla and Rob. Both of them were surprised. Now, exactly what you had told me, surprised. Now, when will you get surprised? If you were aware about something earlier itself, will you be surprised about it?
No.
No. Something that you came to know at that moment, or you were not aware of it. That's something you're surprised
Yes.
about.
So I have heard in the audio that they already knew that about the world's population, which is option A. But I think it was in the B option that they mentioned about.
They were
being
not aware
surprised.
about.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
So as per the question, we have two keywords. One is Carla and Rob, both of them. And the second one is they were surprised about. That is something they came to know later. So in the option B, if you see the transcript, which we will be displaying right now, initially Carla is saying that, yeah, though that's all cities, not just ones on the coast, but most of the important cities actually are built by the sea. That is option B. And she's continuing saying that I had not realized that before. That means it was surprising for Carla.
Yes.
Now we have to wait and focus whether it was surprising for Rob. Now Rob is continuing saying that not me. So that means it was surprising for both of them. All right. So that's the reason we got the answer as B. You can just go through the transcript and understand it in detail. Now let's listen to another question from the same conversation. Abhishek will be doing it by himself and the question will be displayed on the screen. You also should try and solve the question. The keywords are really important. If they are mentioning about any of the person's name, definitely you have to note it down, and the keywords like surprised, you have to focus on that. Okay, here is your question.
So, what are the authorities doing about it now?
I don't know. I did read that they're aiming to stop disposing of wastewater into the ocean over the next 10 years.
But that won't help with flood prevention now, will it?
No, really, they just need to find the money for something to replace the drainage channels in order to protect against flooding now. But in the long term, they need to consider the whole ecosystem.
Right.
What is your answer?
I'm pretty sure this time the answer is B.
You're right. And can we just go through the keywords of the question?
The keywords, the most important one is immediately.
Exactly.
And I think that authorities is yet another keyword. Of course, Miami. And then the conversation is between Rob and Carla.
So we have to take a point where what Rob and Carla think. So that's the first thing that we have to consider. Both of them. Right? And what the authorities in Myanmar should be doing immediately. That's the second keyword. Authorities is definitely a keyword, but immediately would be something that they would be focusing on.
More on, yes.
That would be something that they will be paraphrasing. That's what we are getting confused. All right. So we got the right answer. We'll be displaying the transcript for you all to check it. So we have three options. The first one they're talking about is disposing of waste. So here, disposing of waste is something they are planning to do over the next 10 years. It is not immediately. So this is not your answer. Then they are talking about finding the money for something to replace the drainage channels in order to protect against flooding now. This is what the keyword immediately and now both are paraphrased. Then they are also talking about the ecosystem. This is what they say. But in the long term, they need to consider the whole ecosystem. Here, they are not talking about something that we have to do immediately. This is in the long term. That's where we realize that this is also not the answer. The third tip for multiple choice questions is to eliminate the wrong answers. Even in the last question, disposing of waste was a wrong answer because it was considered for a long term, that is for about 10 years, right? And even the last point was also for a long term. So both those questions were wrong. So try to eliminate it. Just put a cross mark near to the option and then stick on to the right answer. All right.
Right. So in the question paper itself, I could mark and strike
Yes.
down, either strike down the wrong answer or put a cross mark
Yes.
against it.
The same way,
Right.
you're also supposed to underline the keywords of the question in the question paper when you listen before.
the audio.
Yes, before you listen to the
Audio.
audio. And finally, most importantly, practice. If you're finding difficulty in multiple choice questions, try and continuously practice multiple choice questions rather than completely doing the 40 minutes test or the 30 minutes test, not including the time of writing. Just practice the MCQ part, and when you find it you're confident and at least you get 4 correct answers out of 5, then try and do the entire set of questions.
Because multiple choice question again is very important, because for most of the listening test, there are a lot of multiple choice questions. I've heard a lot of students telling that for that specific test they were asked 20 or 25 multiple choice questions. Right,
because
so
it can be asked in part 2 as well as in part 3. Yes. All right. That's it for today's video.
I hope you find this very helpful. Please do share our videos with your friends, as this would definitely help them prepare for the IELTS test. Please do subscribe our channel if you haven't yet. I'll also make sure to ping a few links to our previous videos so that you could watch that too. Thank you so much once again for watching.